Something interesting is happening around British broadcaster Kaye Adams right now, and the story is getting more complicated by the day. After months of speculation, rumors, and frankly some pretty damaging headlines, Kaye Adams has finally broken her silence about losing her job at BBC Radio Scotland. And judging by her statement, she is not only heartbroken, she is also furious about what she says are completely false accusations circulating about her. If you have followed Kaye Adams over the years, you probably know her as one of the long-time faces on Loose Women and as the voice behind a popular BBC Radio Scotland phone-in show that she hosted for more than a decade. 15 years on air is not a small thing. In the world of broadcasting, that kind of longevity usually means trust, loyalty, and a strong relationship with listeners. But suddenly, that long career came to a halt. Back in October, Adams was taken off air from her BBC radio programme, and it later became clear that she would not be returning. The departure was tied to misconduct allegations, although details were never clearly confirmed publicly at the time. That silence left plenty of room for rumours to grow, and that is exactly what happened. Now Adams says she has reached the point where she simply cannot stay quiet any longer. In a message posted to her Instagram followers, she said she had tried to maintain what she called a dignified silence. But according to her, the stories about why she left BBC Scotland have become so persistent and so damaging that she felt forced to respond. And this is where the story takes a sharper turn. Adams firmly denies one of the most serious claims circulating about her. According to the rumors, she allegedly used a misogynistic slur many years ago. She says that accusation is completely fabricated. In her words, she categorically denies ever using such language and says she is horrified that a claim like that would appear more than a decade later. She also pushed back against other allegations, including claims that she berated an intern. Adams says that simply never happened. Another rumor suggested she threw a pencil in the studio, something she says is so absurd she barely knows how to respond. Listening to her response, you can sense the frustration. Imagine dedicating 15 years to a broadcaster and then watching your reputation get chipped away by accusations you say are untrue. That would be difficult for anyone to deal with. Adams said she is heartbroken that years of work and commitment to BBC Scotland are now being reduced to these claims. And honestly, that line tells you a lot about how personal this situation has become for her. For context, Adams began hosting her 3-hour radio phone-in show on BBC Radio Scotland back in 2010. Over the years, it became a familiar program for listeners who tuned in to hear discussions on everyday issues, politics, and social debates. In radio, especially talk radio, building that relationship with an audience takes years, so when a presenter disappears suddenly, people notice. And the fallout did not stop with the radio show. Adams has also seen a sponsor pull out of her podcast, How to Be 60 with Kaye Adams. The Alzheimer's Society, which had been advertising on the show, decided to stop its sponsorship following the recent developments surrounding her departure from the BBC. Their chief marketing officer explained that the charity advertises across different podcasts to reach various audiences with information about dementia, but after the situation involving Adams, they decided to withdraw their support from that particular show. That decision is especially poignant given Adams' personal connection to the issue. Her father, Duncan Adams, died from dementia in 2017, something she has spoken about openly in the past. So when you look at the whole situation, it is clear this has been a very difficult period for her both professionally and personally. In fact, Adams recently admitted that the last few months have been extremely tough. Speaking on her podcast, she described the experience as a brutal 5 months. But interestingly, she also sounded conflicted about speaking out at all. She said part of her hesitated to address the situation because she did not want to appear self-important or make people feel like her personal troubles were something the public should worry about. At the same time, she recognized that people were aware something had happened, especially after her sudden exit from radio. That left her caught between two instincts, staying silent to avoid adding fuel to the story, or responding to defend her reputation. Now she has clearly chosen the second option. And here is the question many people are now asking. When a well-known broadcaster suddenly disappears from a long-running show and allegations start circulating, how much of the story do we really know? Because right now we are hearing two very different sides. On one hand, there were claims serious enough to end a 15-year-old at the BBC. On the other hand, Adams is publicly insisting those accusations are false and damaging. Until more details emerge, the full picture remains unclear. But one thing is certain, Kaye Adams is no longer staying quiet, and this story may not be finished yet.